Hello and welcome to Legends Explained. I'm Courier 6 of the Kaladesh Express, your number one source for universes beyond. And today we're going to be looking at Craig Boone, Novak Guard. We're going to be looking at the history of the character of Craig Boone from Fallout New Vegas, and we're going to build a deck around him that sort of feeds into his character. I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm just going to let you know that this guy's story is very sad, and I am not pulling any punches on it. I'm going to have a spoiler warning and a content warning up momentarily, but please do take it seriously. Otherwise, let's jump into it. Spoiler warning for Fallout New Vegas base game, content warning for gore, murder, death, enslavement, and war crimes. I'm sorry to show all this, but this is a character that Magic the Gathering and Wizards decided was good to go in their card game, so I'm explaining it. Craig Boone is an NCR citizen born in 2255, likely in California. When he became of age, he spent some time as an infantryman before going to sniper school with his best friend, Manny Vargas. Both of them graduated and became first recon snipers, the best of the best when it comes to snipers the NCR has to offer, and likely the best warfighters too, save the NCR's newly acquired Desert Rangers. Think of first recon snipers like scout snipers in the Marine Corps, precision shooters who are meant to take down high-profile targets. Not long after his training, Boone and the rest of 1st Recon were deployed to Camp Gulf as part of the NCR's Mojave annexation campaign. Boone, aged 22, fought in the First Battle of Hoover Dam in 2277. This would only be the beginning of the horrors Boone would witness. A year later, in 2278, Boone would be deployed again, this time to deal with a raider faction known as the Great Khans. The Khans have a history dating all the way back to the original Fallout, but for the purposes of this story, it is important to stress that they are unlike most raiders you'll meet in the Wasteland. Khans aren't just bloodthirsty animals. They can be talked to, reasoned with, and most importantly, they aren't all combatants. Some of their members are truly despicable, but they are no less valid as a faction than the NCR, who also has its fair share of despicable members. Great Khan combatants have been skirmishing with NCR since the arrival of the NCR to Outer Vegas, and someone up the NCR chain of command had enough of it. That officer called in orders for NCR infantry and 1st Recon to hit the Khans at their home in Bitter Springs. The NCR infantry and the Great Khans fought for a while, and eventually the Great Khans were all but defeated. Some would try to escape down a canyon, and that is where 1st Recon was set up and would take out these combatants. When children, elderly, and the sick also tried to retreat down Canyon 37, Boone and the other snipers called in a request to see what they should do about these refugees. Due to the careless leadership, the snipers were ordered to eliminate all Great Khans, and that's what they did. These war crimes would go on to be known as the Bitter Springs Massacre. Boone saw himself as a murderer, and at this point would request to be discharged from active duty. When Boone finally separated from the NCR in 2279, he decided to take some time for himself and let go, so he headed to the New Vegas Strip to relax. While presumably in one of the Strip's casinos, he met a woman named Carla and they hit it off. After a while, they fell in love and got married, and Boone's nightmares of war subsided for a while. In 2280, they decided to get married and left the Strip, and together they moved to a small town called Novak. There, Boone got a job as a town guard with his friend Manny, who also separated from the army at the same time. Not long after that, Carla got pregnant and Boone was ecstatic. For a while, things went well for Boone, and he found some semblance of peace. But Carla never really got used to living in Novak. Compared to Vegas, Novak is kind of a dump, and Carla made sure everyone in town knew it, much to the chagrin of the residents, especially the motel manager and de facto leader of Novak, Jeannie Mae Crawford. To Jeannie Mae, Carla was an ungrateful blight upon the town of Novak who was disrupting the vibe she was trying to cultivate. Something needed to be done about her. One night, while Boone was on guard, a member of Caesar's Legion, a highly organized group of slavers who like to cosplay as Roman soldiers, snuck into town and kidnapped Carla and her unborn child, without Boone noticing. How did they get past the watchtower without Boone's notice? Someone in town had to have fed the Legion information about the tower's blind spots. Why did they only take Carla? These were all very important questions, but Boone did not have the time to worry about them. He had to track her down. He attempted to enlist the aid of his longtime friend and fellow sniper, Manny.
What's going on, man?
However, like everyone else in town, Manny held disdain for Carla and could not help but crack a smile when he heard of Carla's disappearance. Boone saw this glimpse of glee from Manny, and knew immediately he could not trust him to help him find Carla. their friendship ending on the spot. Boone, now completely on his own, left in the night and began tracking the slavers down the road, and eventually he did find them. He set up a sniper's position a few hundred yards away and observed. Carla had been taken to a Legion outpost near the Colorado River and was actively being auctioned off to other Legion soldiers as a personal slave. He knew that if she was sold off, he would never see her again, and the Legionaries would do unspeakable things to her and her unborn child. A fate, Boone figured, worse than death. So he made the decision right then and there to pick up his rifle, place his crosshairs on her forehead, and end the life of his beloved Carla Boone and his unborn child.
Bring him out in front of the nest here while I'm on duty.
Boone returned to Novak, now completely regressing into the mental despair that consumed him before he met Carla. He maintained his duties of guarding the town from invaders, but now refused to speak to anybody. Sometime later, a package courier arrives in the town of Novak and meets Boone.
God damn it. Don't sneak up on me like that. What do you want? I think you better leave. Maybe you shouldn't go. Not just yet.
Who realizes that this courier has no ties to anybody in the town.
My wife's dead. I want the son of a bitch who sold her.
And he could trust this stranger to help him figure out who set up his wife to be kidnapped.
Bring him out in front of the nest here while I'm on duty. I work nights. I'll give you my NCR beret to put on. It'll be our signal so I know you're standing with him. And I'll take care of the rest. I need to do this myself.
The courier agrees to help, and after some time interviewing the people of the town, he figured out that Jeannie Mae Crawford is the one who set up Carla Boone. With this knowledge in hand, the courier sends the motel manager down in front of Boone's guard tower and signals for Boone to take her head clean off her shoulders, getting revenge for his wife.
How did you know?
This would complete the one for my baby quest that is referenced on Boone's card. Afterwards, Boone and the courier speak, and it is decided that since Boone can no longer stay in the town of Novak, seeing as they just killed their leader, he might as well just join the courier on their travels.
Right. Maybe I should go to Bitter Springs.
The two go on many Legion-slaying crusades together, and Boone would occasionally open up to the courier, telling them more and more about his past.
Southeast, near the river. They were selling her. Saw it through my scope. Hey, I thought some more about what you said. I think maybe you're right. Maybe I should go to Bitter Springs. I don't know what I'm hoping to find there.
Eventually, Boone would ask the courier to travel with him to the site of the Bitter Springs massacre so he could get some closure.
Canyon 37. That's what the NCR calls the pass down there. It was the Khan's only escape, so we set up here to guard it while the main force attacked from the front. Standing orders were to shoot on sight. Main force got spotted too soon. We heard shooting. Then Khan started coming through Canyon 37 in bunches. It was all wrong, though. Women, kids, elderly. Wounded started coming through, too. We radioed to confirm our orders, but command didn't get what we were seeing. They told us to shoot till we were out of ammo, so that's what we did.
While camping out at the site, Boone hears a noise and wakes up the courier.
Something's wrong. Got a group coming our way. Looks like a Legion raiding party. It's big. Might be too big, even for us. If you want out, I won't blame you, but I'm gonna stay. See if I can hold them off.
The Legion have begun attacking the refugees staying in the settlement nearby, and the two of them take down the Legionaries. Afterwards, they have another talk about the hard choices Boone has had to make that have led him to where he is now. He decides to spend the rest of his days fighting Legionaries and helping those in need.
But I don't see any reason not to take a lot more of those sons of bitches with me. You got a point. There's still some things I can do before all this is over.
Though he believes this will not make up for his past transgressions. There are many variations to Boone's story and ending that are player dependent, but these are the most concrete facts I can offer. His story likely ends with him helping during the Second Battle of Hoover Dam against Caesar's Legion, and re-enlisting in the NCR to help 1st Recon take out slavers till the end of his days. Whew, man, that was some heavy stuff, huh? Yeah, I told you, Craig Boone's story is pretty sad, but it's honestly kind of beautiful as well. He is one of the more well-written characters in all of gaming, in my opinion, and while his story is morbid and sad. I think it's very well told and beautiful. Not well told by me. I'm not trying to hype myself up or anything. I think his actual written story is fantastic, and Jason Marsden is a fantastic voice actor who brings a lot of life to that character. Anyway, now we're gonna get onto the deck tech for Boone. I decided to make him more of a support character in his deck because that's what snipers kind of do. They kind of sit in the back and, you know, take out targets from afar, and, you know, they're there to be support really. So his abilities are going to be amplified by his deck, but his deck is really meant to work with or without him. Alright, let's begin this deck tech with our commander. That's Craig Boone, Novak Guard. This is a 3/3 legendary creature, human soldier for 1, a red, and a white. He has reach and lifelink, and then he has an ability called One for My Baby. And that ability says, whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put 2 quest counters on Craig Boone, Novak Guard. When you do, Craig Boone deals damage equal to the number of quest counters on it to up to 1 target creature, unless that creature's controller has Craig Boone deal that much damage to them. So just looking at this commander, it may be kind of hard to decide what we want to do with him and which direction we want to go, but we're going to focus on the same thing we do in a Caesar precon, is create a bunch of tokens so we get a lot of attack triggers. We're also going to focus on combat tricks and some life manipulation. So let's get started. So the first category we've got is counter manipulation. We're going to need to mess with the counters on Craig Boone to get him to do a lot of damage very quickly. So for this category we've got Cacophony Scamp, Grateful Apparition, Moira Brown, Guide Author, Filigree Vector, Norn's Choirmaster, the Ozolith, Staff of Completion, Sword of Truth and Justice, Recon Craft Theta, and Karn's Bastion. In this category, I want to highlight the Ozolith for when Craig Boone inevitably does get removed, we'll be able to put the counters right back on him, hopefully. And Staff of Completion for being the most useful Swiss Army knife we've ever gotten. Next up is token generators. We have several token generators because we need many creatures to trigger Craig Boone's combat ability. These token generators are Loyal Apprentice, Sky Knight Vanguard, Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, Anam Pagal, Thousandth Moon, Goblin Rabblemaster, Krenko, 10th Street Kingpin, Legion Warboss, Keeper of the Accord, Marielle, Shield of Argive, Heroic Reinforcements, Oketra's Monument, Legion's Landing, and Finale of Glory. Special shout out to Heroic Reinforcements. This is going to be the jumpstart a lot of times to give our dudes haste and get those combat triggers happening. Special shout out to Miriel, Shield of Argive. This human soldier is going to synergize very well with our commander, giving us at least 2 tokens every time she attacks while our commander is on the field. And of course we can't go past the token generation part of this conversation without talking about Anim Pacal, Thousandth Moon. This is another human soldier, so again it synergizes pretty well with our commander, but it also is going to get us incrementally more tokens so we can attack with lots more creatures. And if you're ever looking to make a straight up tokens matter commander deck, Anim Pacal is one of the coolest new commanders we've seen in a while. And the next category we're going to talk about is combat. Cards that deal with combat, cards that care about combat. These cards are the Robber of the Rich, Aradesh the Founder, Moira Brown, Guide Author, Combat Celebrant, Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty, Professional Facebreaker, Audric, Lunar Marshal, Aurelia, the Law Above, Commander Mustard, Karlak, Fury of Avernus, Aurelia, the War Leader, Aggravated Assault, and Grim Reaper Sprint. The all-star of our Combat Matters cards is definitely going to be Moira Brown, Guide Author. The card's so nice I mentioned her twice, but she really is good for both buffing up the counters on Boone and attacking. The artifact she makes, the Wasteland Survival Guide, is going to buff one of our creatures based on the number of quest counters we have, and she's going to give quest counters and Boone's going to naturally get them. Honestly, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I really wanted to build Moira Brown as one of the 4 commanders from this Fallout set, but I just didn't have much to say about her lore-wise. Anyway, back on topic, we have cards that give us extra combat as well. Aurelia the War Leader, Combat Celebrant, and Karlak, Fury of Avernus are going to be all-stars in this deck, helping us trigger our commander's abilities multiple times. Then we have a few cards here to play with Boone's life gain ability, those being Resplendent Angel, Well of Lost Dreams, Aetherflux Reservoir, and of course, Neheb the Eternal, who's as cheap as he's been in a very long time, so even if you're not going to build this deck, I do suggest going and picking up a copy. Next section up is a ramp, and for this category we have Knight of the White Orchid, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Boros Signet, Felwar Stone, Mind Stone, and Talisman of Conviction. Nothing special here, just mostly Boros mana rocks, but we're gonna need them. And then we have the utility section, the section for where you don't know where to put cards, but you know they should probably be in the deck. In this section we have Hazaret the Fervent, Skull Clamp, Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, and Strionic Resonator. The oddball out here is probably Hazaret the Fervent, but let me explain. Having an indestructible hasty creature in Boros, where you're probably not going to have very many cards in hand, just hanging out when you want to activate Craig Boone, is probably going to be pretty useful. And the last category, but certainly not least, is going to be interaction. This category is comprised of Rip Apart, Farewell, Galadriel's Dismissal, Path of Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Boros Charm, Heliod's Intervention, Chaos Warp, and Wear/Tear. And that'll about do it for the Craig Boone deck tech part of the video. As you can see, we're going in a few different directions, but through all my playtesting, the deck does seem to work pretty well, even though there is a lot of things going on. Give it a shot for yourself and let me know what you think. And as always, there's going to be a Moxfield link in the description, so you can check the deck out for yourself. And that is the deck tech and lore for Craig Boone Novat Guard. I hope this has been useful and informational for you. I'm going to be working on the Sean one next. I want to save Marcus for the end because he is probably my favorite of the 4 characters. I really like Marcus. So Sean's next. And I hope that is just as exciting to you as it is to me, because Sean's also really cool. He's one of the very few cool things, in my opinion, from Fallout 4. So I can't wait to share that with you. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. I'm shooting close to 600 subscribers and hopefully get there soon. This has been really fun. I really enjoy making YouTube stuff, and if you like the stuff I do and want to see more of it, you know, hit the subscribe, hit the like, and yeah. I don't know if you can tell, I'm very uncomfortable asking for likes and subscribes. I'm trying to get better at it. I really appreciate those of you who do. Otherwise, I'm Courier6 from the Kaladesh Express, your #1 source for universes beyond, and death to the Legion.